everyone, welcome to today's show. My name is Spencer Walsh. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We got a great one for you as always on today's show. In an extraordinary statement, Donald Trump stands with the Saudis despite the killing of Jamal Khashoggi, and in the crazy aftermath of this whole tragic situation, Trump is still firmly pretty Team Saudi. Lobbyist documents now revealed that healthcare industry's battle plan against Medicare For All and how they're enlisting Democrats to help them kill the piece of popular legislation. Donald Trump also is reportedly too afraid to go down and visit the troops that he stationed by the border, so he's just going to hang out in Mar-a-Lago instead. So yeah, that's pretty cool stuff. We'll get to that story and maybe something else as we go down the road. So in Washington, President Trump defied the nation's intelligence agencies and a growing body of evidence on Tuesday to declare his unswerving loyalty to Saudi Arabia. He's a devoted servant is really what it is at this point. It's incredible. Asserting the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's culpability for killing Jamal Khashoggi might never be known. We may never know all the facts, despite that Saudi Arabia was like, CIA, our own intelligence agency was like, yeah, the Crown Prince ordered it. He ordered it. He ordered the killing. That's what happened. Sorry. In a remarkable statement that appeared to calculated to end the debate over the American response over the killing of Khashoggi, the president said it could very well be the Crown Prince had knowledge of the tragic event. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. Exclamation mark. And he said, we may never know all the facts surrounding the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. In that case, our relationship is with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We do know, and we know very clearly that it was Saudi Arabian government officials, government people, who killed this guy. And the fact is that they did that, and no one else is going to take the candlestick for that. And the fact that Trump let him get away with that, it sends a grave message to a lot of people out there who are not going to be who we want to have relationships with, and they can just push us around like that. And the fact that they can is, I really don't think George Bush. I don't think really, and Trump is someone who obviously we compare George Bush and Trump a lot, but I really do not think that George Bush would have let him get away with this. I don't think if this had been George Bush, this would not have happened, because he just doesn't understand. He doesn't understand that Saudi Arabia needs us. We don't need Saudi Arabia. We could be just fine without Saudi Arabia's oil. We don't have to defend them in Yemen. And the fact that they let us pull that, it's very tough. It's very tough to see them get away with that. We are just there just to help out, pretty much. We're there because we want to be there. And there's really, other than the oil, other than good discounts on the oil, there's not really too much in return. I guess we have the kind of long partnership against Israel, and maybe that could have been a sticking point, but definitely if Obama, there would have been some serious talk. And I think this is the only reason why they did it. They knew under Trump, who's not only a super far right winger, but also very, very much an idiot. Not very smart person, not very smart about the foreign policy, the domestic policy, and all the not domestic, but all the relationships at play. Only with Trump could they have pulled this off. You need a unique idiot to kill your top, most powerful ally, a journalist of your living in the country, of your top, most powerful ally, and just feel like you can get away with it. Only a special idiot could be leading that country, and Trump is definitely a special idiot. His statement, which aides said Trump dictated himself and reflected his deeply held views, came only days after the CIA concluded the killing that the Crown Prince, a close ally of the White House, had ordered the killing of Khashoggi, a Saudi journalist and columnist for the Washington Post, which is pretty incredible. In 633 words, punctuated by 8 exclamation points, and written in an impolitic style that did sound a lot like President Trump's off-the-cuff observations, the statement was a stark distillation of the Trump worldview, remorselessly transactional, heedless of the facts, determined to put America's interests first, quote-unquote, America's interests first, and founded on theory of moral equivalence. What they're trying to do, like what he really was trying to do, is try to justify this continuing relationship. Because even now, it seems completely, just seems very unnecessary. Like every day, like the United States is coming from, in this relationship, the United States, and this is, again, something he does not understand. The United States here is coming from a position of power. Like, that's just the way it is. In the world of malefactors, Trump argued Iran's crimes exceeded anything Saudi Arabia had done. Not true. His words seem certain to alienate Turkey, a NATO ally that has raised pressure on Saudi Arabia to offer a full accounting of what happened to Khashoggi inside the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. Like, it's not even their journalists. They have no relation to the situation except for the fact that it happened in their consulate. And they care more about the killing of American journalists than the American government and Donald Trump in the White House. Like, he does not give two shits. He really doesn't. He does not. He doesn't care. He really doesn't care. Like, that's what we've seen. And I think it's completely, like, unfair to Khashoggi to call it anything else, because this is the way it works. This is what's happening here. It's just, yeah. And then we get to, obviously, the bipartisan outrage that we knew was coming. For members of Congress and human rights activists, for whom the grisly killing and becoming a test of America's willingness to overlook the crimes of a strategically valuable ally. Even Trump's staunchest allies in Capitol Hill expressed revulsion. The behavior of the Crown Prince in multiple ways has shown disrespect for the relationship and made him, in my view, beyond toxic, Senator Lindsey Graham, Republican of South Carolina, said in a statement. And I mean, you wonder if he had won that Republican primary, not Trump. Level thought, but still, if he had won, like, what would he have done in a situation like this? And I think he would have done similar things to a George Bush, to a Ronald Reagan, I don't know, type character. Ronald Reagan would certainly not be like, yeah, you can kill an American journalist. Yeah, it's fine with me. I don't think any other president could have dreamed of being this incredibly dumb. Like, this is a new low. I don't think any other president really could touch. Yeah, so Senator Chuck Schumer of New York, the Democratic leader, said he expected Congress to take some kind of action, but declined to be more specific. There are not only Democrats, but Republicans upset, he said in an interview. I really thought we were going to see any action from Congress. Like, it just seems too late. Far from criticizing Mohammed or the other Saudi leaders, the president came close to embracing the narrative of Khashoggi's critics in the kingdom, saying he was a member of the Muslim Brotherhood, and the enemy of the state, bent on undermining the House of Saud. Because he wrote like 10 things that people were like, I'm sorry, like, he wasn't a very big influential guy in America. He just wasn't. And he wasn't very, I feel bad about saying that. He was obviously a great person, a very good journalist, but he was not very well known among the general populace of America. And he was for the freedom press. Like, everything he fought for was incredibly admirable. But the idea that he had the whole American populace behind him and everyone was like following his every word, it's a little overstated. But like, the fact that he was part of the Muslim Brotherhood, I mean, it was very interesting. He was very good friends with the Crown Prince until he started actually waking up to the horrible things they were doing. Punishing Saudi Arabia, Trump said, would put at risk $110 billion in military sales to Boeing and Lockheed Martin and other contractors, as well as $340 billion in other investments, which Saudis have agreed to make since he became president. Economists and military analysts said those numbers were exaggerated as to be fanciful. So, yeah, that's pretty much the most important line there. The world is a very dangerous place, Trump began his statement with an exclamation point before segueing into a critique of Iran's malign behavior in the Middle East for like 3 paragraphs. He blamed it for killing Americans, sponsoring terrorist organizations, and conducting a bloody proxy war against Saudi Arabia and Yemen. Like, literally exactly parroting everything that the Saudi kingdom could not have written a better press release. Like, I think that's the one of the most important things to take away from here. Like, they could not have written a better press release, because this, like, shows from the narrative on Iran to the narrative on who Khashoggi really was. Like, you could not have said it any better for them. Like, that's incredible that he parroted their narrative. Like, absolutely correct. And, like, it shows you, okay, obviously, like that Iran is backing the other side, but Saudi Arabia is equally, if not more, culpable because Iran is not going into Yemen, bombing civilians, bombing little kids on school buses. That is the Saudi Arabia doing that with the help of the big old red, white, and blue United States. Like, that's what's happening. And yeah, it's disgusting, it's awful, it's disturbing, and as if to illustrate this point, the Treasury Department on Tuesday morning announced sanctions against 9 targets in what officials said was an Iranian-Russian plot to sell oil to the regime of President Bashar al-Assad of Syria and use the funds to finance Iranian-backed militant groups like Hamas and Hezbollah. Trump left open the possibility that Prince Mohammed was aware of Khashoggi's killing, in effect conceding the prince could have lied to him in multiple phone conversations. In exchange with aides, Trump has rolled his eyes when asked whether he believes the prince could not have been aware of the complex operation to kill Khashoggi. It involved multiple teams of operatives who had some pretty close ties to the prince, and flying to Istanbul in private jets and turning a diplomatic compound into a slaughterhouse, and just pretty much dissecting his body in just awful, horrific ways. Yet none of that outweighs what Trump views as the benefits of an alliance with the Saudis that dates back to Franklin D. Roosevelt. And I mean, one guy here is definitely should be enough to kill this relationship. It's like incredible the fact that they let him get away with it. Like, think of the similar, like the fact that we just let things be it's okay to be pushed around like that is like absolutely incredible. The fact that they think, yeah, it's cool, it doesn't matter to me. Like, anyway, yeah, Trump just embarrassing America, as usual, but almost worse at this time. Reporting there from the New York Times, Mark Landler. All right, now we turn to Medicare for All, where now the midterms are finally over. The battle against Medicare for All has been quietly waged throughout a year, is poised to take center stage. So internal strategy documents obtained by The Intercept and documented revealed a strategy that private healthcare interests plan to influence the Democratic Party messaging and stymie the momentum towards achieving universal healthcare coverage. At least 48 incoming freshman lawmakers have campaigned on acting Medicare for All or similar efforts to expand access to Medicare. And over the last year, 123 incumbent House Democrats co-sponsored the Medicare for All legislation, double the number who supported the same bill during the previous legislative session. The growing popularity of Medicare for All in the House had made progressives optimistic that the Democratic Party will embrace ideas to expand government coverage options with minimal out-of-pocket costs for patients going into the 2020 election. But industry groups have watched the development with some pretty growing concern. Over the summer, leading pharmaceutical insurance and hospital lobbyists formed the Partnership for America's Healthcare Future, an ad hoc alliance of private health interests to curb support for expanding Medicare. The campaign, according to one planning document, is designed to change conversation around Medicare for All. Just manipulate it. Just change it from one way. They have an objection slide and a little bit of a PowerPoint. So here's the big objectives. Number 1, change the national conversation around single-payer / Medicare for All. Minimize the potential. So number 2, minimize the potential for this option in healthcare from becoming part of a national political party platform in 2020. This is what they want to go from support. This is what they have now. Support from left healthcare thought leaders inside the Beltway to support from only the far left and minimal political support. Like, that's their goal. They want to go from support from left healthcare thought leaders inside the Beltway. I don't think there's any left healthcare thought leaders inside the Beltway to support from only the far left and minimal political support. Like, I love think if they just didn't have support inside the Beltway, no one's even going to care about it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and then you got strong support, but lack of understanding around why Medicare for All and all other proposals actually is. It's not grammatically correct. It's strong support, but lack of understanding around why Medicare for All actually is. Shouldn't it be what Medicare for All actually is, but whatever. And then they want to go to a moderate and left-of-center voter base that understands what Medicare for All is and no longer supports building upon the current system and fixing what's broken. Behind the scenes, the group I wonder what they think is broken here. Yeah,